What's going on, guys? My name is Joey Speaks, and this is Everyday People, the podcast. I have a gym called Joey Speaks Fitness. I'm sitting here in my gym right now /studio, and I decided that I want to let you guys get to know me a little bit better by creating a podcast. And on this podcast, I want to just let you see how I am much more, as opposed to me being a personal trainer and showing you the videos of my clients and, the things that I do just for my job. So the name Everyday People comes about from actually one of my clients. I described to her what I was going to do. And I basically want to have my clients on, my friends on. I wanted to have my own podcast where I'm just talking, where it's just me and you. And I just want to let you guys see how us everyday people get down. I think that one of the things that gets lost in a lot of the podcasts, TV shows, or just whatever shows that we're watching, I think a lot of times, we see people who are famous and they're, at this such a superstar level. And a lot of times I don't know that it's realistic for most of us, so I think that it's hard to relate to a lot of the podcasts and shows that we see. Well, I want my show to be super relatable. And so I'm going to call it a show because I want it to be more of a variety show as opposed to just a traditional podcast. So meaning that, like I said, you're going to have a podcast just with me, like today. Today is just me and you, baby. Okay. The next podcast might be me and my son, or me and one of my clients, or me and two of my clients. And I'm going to mix it up. There's going to be some people who are on the podcast pretty consistently. But I have a good list of people to bring you guys that are going to be super interesting. And I just want, like I said, I want you guys to see everyday people being awesome. At the end of the day, that's what my podcast, my show is going to be about. So let me tell you a little bit about me. All right. So like I told you before, my name is Joey Speaks. I was born in the Bronx, New York. I was raised in Sun Valley, California. I live out here in the San Gabriel Valley now. I loved growing up in Sun Valley. I had a really good childhood. I'm sure that we all had, some ups and downs as we grew up, but I have nothing but good memories of my childhood. So that's like I said, I grew up in Sun Valley. Now, I've been an athlete since I can remember. I've always loved to play sports, baseball, football, basketball, you name it. My mom, my dad, they always pushed me to play sports. They always pushed me to kind of just do whatever I wanted to do. So I was very lucky, with the fact that, I could do what I really wanted to do, and that was play sports. For me, I was lucky enough to play sports in high school. I got to play I played some pro baseball for a couple of years for the San Francisco Giants. Quick little cup of coffee in the minor leagues, nothing big, but it was a really, really big deal in my life, big time in my life. I learned a lot. Things didn't go the way that I wanted them to, but it was awesome. It was a really good experience. So I'm going to kind of jump around as I'm going to tell you about the way that I grew up, but then I am going to kind of go back over some of the things that I think are going to be really important for our relationship to get off on the right foot. So after I got done playing a couple of years of pro baseball, I went back to college to play football. I went out here to PCC, Pasadena City College, played on a great team, ended up getting hurt the last game of the season, tore my ACL, MCL, and my meniscus, which was a career-changing, life-changing injury for me. This was in 1992, where surgery was not nearly as advanced then as it is today. And because of my age at the time, I probably did not go the right route to get myself back on the field in the proper amount of time. Not the proper amount of time to play again, but in the proper amount of time for me to be healthy again. That was probably my biggest mistake in my sports career, is trying to get back on the field too fast. Anyway, so like I said, I was born in the Bronx, raised in Sun Valley, live out here in the San Gabriel Valley in Arcadia. I have this gym, Joey Speaks Fitness. I have a great bunch of clients. I have a great group of friends. And so, like I said, I'm going to be bringing you, stuff that they do, that I do, that we do together. Okay, so I want to tell you how I became a personal trainer. So I had never, ever thought that I was going to be a personal trainer. I never thought I'd be a coach. I was always the player. I'm a player. I'm a player at heart. I'll always be a player in my mind. And so I never looked down, or I never like thought bad of coaches or anything like that. But I just never saw myself as a coach. And then, so my son, this is in 2009, my son is playing Little League Baseball on the Cubs. And his manager, the manager of his team, ended up getting really sick. And so I was helping out coaching. I was just basically, being a dad, helping. And even though I know baseball, I didn't get into it to try to like assert my baseball knowledge per se as a coach. I just wanted just to go out there with my son, have a good time, help the kids. And it turned into something that literally changed my life. So the manager of his team ended up getting really sick, and he couldn't manage anymore. And there was me and another guy who were his coaches, just helping out. And this other guy actually was a baseball player as well. So we decided, between the two of us, one of us to be the manager, the other one to be the coach, and we'll kind of go from there. So I ended up taking on the manager role. Joe was my coach. And then I had Pete, who was my eye in the sky out in the stands, the scorekeeper. And then I had the Wolf, Jay, who was my right-hand man, just giving me all the little info that I needed. And so to make a very long story short, and I've been telling my son and my wife and my daughter, we need to make a movie about the 2009 Cubs at Temple City National. I'll get into, when my son is on, we're going to get into that a little bit more. But anyway, I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version of what happened right now. So I think that we were 0-9 or 0-10 in the first half. We were bad. We had probably maybe the best pitcher in the league, a kid named Jack, and he ended up breaking his wrist like the second or third. No, I'm not even sure which game it was. Halfway in the middle of the first half, he's out for the season. Okay. And so I didn't take over the team until just before the second half. So I think that we played 10 games in the first half, 10 games in the second half. So we get our ass kicked in the first half. Obviously, we're 0-9 or 0-10. 1-9 or 0-10. I'm not sure. Anyway, so come the second half, we have a whole new fire underneath us. The kids it's just a different team. I think that I brought a different kind of energy as the manager. Joe was a great coach. He really knows baseball. So they had two guys who were really teaching them the fundamentals of baseball for kids that were 10, 11, and 12 years old. So we end up winning the second half. It was such a great season. Like, we were getting to the park early. We were watching all the games. Like, people who were not even playing, the kids who weren't playing were coming to watch our games. We were going to watch other people's games. The games were really crowded. The crowds were just, it was awesome. We ended up winning the second half. And then we had a 3-game playoff series with the Dodgers. The Dodgers had won the first half. And we ended up winning the championship 2-1. And the Dodgers were a great team. Like, they were awesome. They had some kids like who could just flat out play. And I don't even know that we ended up being so much better than them. We just caught fire, and man, like we were just hot. I mean, we were just hot. They were good. They were consistently good. But man, like we had that it factor. We had that it thing. And that is what got me into coaching. That year, me coaching my son, and by the way, my son hit 712 that year. This fool raked. I mean, he raked. He was my leadoff hitter. I used to call him the fire starter. I think that this guy no. Let me take that back. He didn't hit 712 his 11-year-old year, hit the championship year. He hit 712 his 12-year-old year. I forgot his numbers, his 11-year-old year, but he was awesome. He was our fire starter. He was on base damn near every single time. He was always on base to start the game off. We had some great kids on our team, man. And we just needed to pull that talent out of them. So anyway, I realized that I loved coaching. I loved coaching the kids. And I did not know that it would affect me the way that it did. And I was having a better time than they were. I hope not, but it was either way, it was great. I mean, it was just awesome. And so like, man, the kids just ended up when you know somebody has something, but like they're just shy or they're nervous or like whatever the thing that holds them back, something's holding them back. Well, for whatever the reason, I was able to pull the best out of these kids, man. And like, it was just of all the years that I've been involved in sports, and I played pro baseball. I played at Dodger Stadium in 12th grade in high school baseball. I've done a lot of stuff in my sports career. This was the single greatest season that I had ever been a part of, be it going from 1-9 or 0-10 to coming back and winning the championship for these 10, 11, and 12-year-old major baseball boys. It was just awesome. I wish that you guys could have seen it. I wish you could have been there. I know that you may think I'm exaggerating because I tend to exaggerate sometimes, but I'm not exaggerating this time. This time, man, I'm telling you, it was one of the greatest years, greatest seasons of baseball for me in my life. Anyway, that's what made me a coach. I realized that I could get my point across to people the way that I talk. And, you're going to realize that, I'm not super proper, my wife says that I have Joey speak and she speaks Joey. And the more you get to know me, you'll speak Joey, and that's okay. And that's going to be a good thing because I may not say the right thing correctly, properly, or whatever the thing is, but you're going to know what I mean. And I know that you're going to know what I mean. And that's all I really care about. I don't care about the level of communication. I just care about communication. So that's how I became a coach. And then I ended up starting, and I had coached a couple of kids, years before, just, kind of going out to the park and playing catch and, showing them little things that I knew about baseball or football. And I don't consider that me being a coach. That was just me, just being a guy who had some experience helping out a kid who wanted to do something. But actually coaching and being a trainer and knowing that I could affect people's lives started in 2009. So like I said, it was the single greatest season of sports in my life, and it literally changed my life because I knew that I could do this. I knew that I was in the place that I was supposed to be. I wasn't making any money. It wasn't about that. It was about me connecting with the kids, us getting where we got, winning the championship, getting the trophy, watching the kids just be happy, watching the parents. It was awesome. Okay, so that's how I got to be a personal trainer. Now, the story of me actually getting a gym was that, so at 46 years old, and I may be kind of talking a little bit fast because I'm excited to talk to you guys, and I had told myself I was gonna share myself with you guys, and I typically don't. I'm kind of private, but I promised myself that if I do this podcast, I was gonna be as transparent as I can be. I'm going to tell you everything, but I'm going to tell you a lot more than I ever expected to. So we'll go from there. So, wow, nice. So I'm 46 years old, and I had been laid off from a couple of different jobs. I used to do online marketing for Yahoo and a couple of other private clients, which I actually love these jobs. They were great jobs. But I had been laid off from a couple of online marketing jobs, and I couldn't find work. I'm working at a great friend of mine's construction company. It wasn't the place for me. He was just being a really good guy, giving me a job because I didn't have a job for such a long time. And one day I'm driving home from Orange County, 55 miles up, 55 miles back. And, I just thought to myself, I was like, hey man, you're 46 years old. You need to shit or get off the pot. It's you need to do something. If you're not going to do something now, you're never going to do it. And so I had the timing was right because I ended up getting laid off from that job, and I had decided that I wanted to be a personal trainer. I had decided that I wanted to get my own gym. I wanted to kind of do my own thing. So the timing was right. Everything worked out. Literally, God set these things up in my life, and it just happened. I did not plan this. I never had planned this. But once I decided that I wanted to do it, these things just started happening. And the next thing you know, boom. So I get laid off from that job, which was the last job that I had. I found this really, really cool dude named Louie, Big Lou. He had a gym over there in El Monte. And so I started doing training out of his gym. I had a couple of clients over there. And I was only there for maybe 2-3 months. And I found a gym that's literally across the street from where I'm at now. So I'm over here in Arcadia, but I'm across the street from my original gym, which was actually an office. My first gym was 275 square feet. If you guys have been following me, you know that my gym was like a big closet. It was tiny. But when I'm looking at the place, me and my wife go over there, and I was like, this is too small. There's no room to do anything. And she said, nope, this is you. This is where you're going to thrive one-on-one or in very small groups with people who need to learn how to train. This is you. And as much as I hate to admit it, she's right. She's typically right. She's not always right, but she's typically right. And she was 100% right about this. Man, it was the best decision I ever made. 275 square feet. All I had was my Smith machine that's over here. a couple of dumbbells, couple of resistance bands, and my desire to be a personal trainer. And then the greatest thing about my original gym was my original clients. Do you know, my gym was so small, not one person ever complained that my gym was too small. I was giving them that work. like it doesn't matter. Like if you want to get that work, you can get that work anywhere. I was giving them that work. So I don't think that the space was such a big deal for me as, trying to like create this business and me trying to do all these things. I'm thinking, oh, this is too small. It's too small. But my wife was like, no, man, like this is you. Like this is you. And she was so right. So anyway, my first set of clients were all so great. They were so awesome. No one ever said, oh, the gym's too small. It's this, it's that. They just came and got to work. Man, we got results. Like I ended up, I started getting on Facebook. One of the ladies who I was training, one of my original clients, I started posting stuff about her transformation on Facebook. And she had lost like 60 pounds and she just looked great. Her name is Kathy Lewis. Kathy Lewis is a great lady. I love Kathy. She's just a great lady. There's going to be a whole nother podcast dedicated to the Lewis family, but that's for another podcast. But anyway, so I posted stuff about Kathy's transformation, and Kathy is pretty known in Temple City, Arcadia area. And I started posting about her, and all of a sudden people were like, oh, hey, well, that's Kathy Lewis. And, like people started reaching out to me and they wanted to, like see what I was about and see what I was doing. And that's really how I started to get clients. And it was very organic. It was very just natural. I just, if you remember anything about the way that I used to post, even the way that I post today, like I'm for shit when it comes to being a social media guy. I'm average at best. Every day, every once in a while, I have a good post or a good video or whatever, but I'm average. It took me a long time to accept wanting to be a social media guy, but anyway, that's how I really started to get business, was just very naturally, very organically, through Kathy Lewis and her awesome transformation. So, I had that gym, and I was there for probably about 2 years, maybe a little more than 2 years, and so I ended up having a good number of clients, and I had girls groups, guys groups. And so one day I have this really great group of guys, and there were I'm not sure if it was 4 guys in me or 5 guys in me. The house was crowded though. The house was packed with 5 or 6 people. And so one of my clients, Eric, big, strong ox of a dude, Eric, this dude is standing in the doorway. I forgot the exercises we're doing, but he was literally standing in the doorway because there was just not enough room. And that was the time when I was like, okay, Joe, you need to look for a bigger gym. And so I think that probably the biggest and most impactful thing that I have done as a businessman is let my business tell me when to move, as opposed to me telling my business when to move. And so like I did not get into this business to get rich and, like make all this money. And of course I would like to really do well for myself. And my goals now are different than they were when I first started. But like I let my business organically grow. And when there were 3 or 4 or 5 guys in my gym, one guy hanging out the door, I was like, okay, let's get a bigger gym. So I'm with another one of my clients, and we're walking the block because I used to make people run a block or 2 around my gym, where I'd walk with a couple of my clients. And so we walked across the street, and there's this little machine shop complex right here. And it said there was a place for rent. So I come in, and me and my client were, and she's actually a great friend of mine. Another podcast about one of my greatest friends ever, Susanna Schuster. Me and Susanna we're walking the block, and we see this place. And so we come in, and the owner was here. And a great man named Caesar. And so he shows me the place, and we just start talking, and I tell him what I'm doing. He tells me, what he's trying to do. And so we have a great conversation. I think it was a Thursday. And so we had decided that we were going to talk again that following Monday. So I had the weekend to think about it. He had the weekend to think about it. So I come back that next Monday, and number one, I love the place. I love the place. It's the place I'm sitting in right now. It's a warehouse, and it did not look anything the way that it looks right now. So I come back on Monday, And mind you, when I came in on Thursday, like I said, it was a warehouse. The ceiling was exposed. The floor was just concrete or asphalt, whatever it was. No AC. Like it was just, it was a warehouse to the T. I come back on Monday and me and him start talking and the floor is painted. The ceiling is done. There's a proper ass AC over on the wall. It is a monster of an AC. I mean, anyway, so he tells me, hey, I like this. I like this idea. And I was like, I love this idea. Let's do it. Boom. It was done. And this has been the greatest 5 years. I could not have asked to be in a place better than where I'm at. The city that I'm in, awesome. The complex that I'm in, awesome. The owners of the complex, you're going to meet all of them eventually. I hope I'm going to be able to get them all on the podcast. I know I'm going to be able to get one of them, but I want to get them all. I really want to show you guys, I really want to introduce you guys to Caesar and Julianne. They own this place, and I could not ask to be in better hands than being in the Sanchez's hands. So anyway, then the next thing you know, I'm here, and now it's 5 years later. So just about a month or two ago, I celebrated my 7 years in business. And for me, 7 is my number, okay? I was born on the 7th. I used to like to try to get number 7 for my uniforms and my in my sports. I have a tattoo with the number 7. And so I know that in business, if you can survive 1 year, you have that much more of a chance to get to 2 years. If you get to 2 years, you have that much more of a chance to get to 5 years. There's like a route that you have to kind of get past in order to really be able to have a chance to have a successful business. For me, all those numbers were great. 1 year to 2 years, 2 years to 5 years. Yeah. 7 years for me it's a life thing. Like in my life, every 7 years, things typically change, some for the worse, some for the better. But like, I feel like every 7 years has always been like a turnover, an addition, a subtraction. And sometimes there's addition by subtraction. But every 7 years has been a thing for me. So 7 years was a really, really big deal for me. So I am fresh out of 7 years in business. And like me doing this podcast was really kind of based on, I'm 7 years in. Like, you need new goals. Like you need new things to shoot for. I have, as an athlete, as a competitor myself, I don't compete with other personal trainers and I don't compete with other gyms. If anything, I try to hype them up. I'm not in competition with anybody. I just don't feel like that. I want to see everybody do good. I want to get mine, but I'm not going to try to hurt you to get mine. And there's trainers around here who I know specifically. There's people I know who have started gyms, and I've made videos about them. And I don't say that to pat myself on the back. I say that to just tell you guys, that's not what it's about for me. This isn't about making you look bad to make me look good. This is about me really feeling blessed and grateful that at the point I am in my life, I'm at where I am in my life. Things could have been a lot worse. Things could have been way worse. But man, I'm blessed. God has blessed me. God has put me in a position, and now it's my turn to really take advantage of what I've been given. And so 7 years later, I think it's time for me to kind of get back in the game as far as me being competitive, not with the other trainers in gyms and stuff like that, but for myself. So I have another set of goals that I want to reach. I'm not going to tell you those goals right now, but as time goes on, you're going to learn what my goals are. I am a very competitive person. I have, how many times am I going to say, I am a very competitive person, and I have really put my competitiveness on the back burner to push my clients, push my business. This is not about me. This is about we for my business. My business is great because of the people at my gym. I'm nothing without my clients. I am nothing without my gym, and I know that, and I'll never forget that. But now, in addition to that, I need some other goals, and my other goals need to be competitive. What gets you one place won't get you from where you're at to where you want to go after that. And I think that the strategies I've used, the things that I've done, they have been great to get me where I'm at. Now I need to do something different to get where I want to go from here. So like I told you before, I'm pretty competitive. I would like to get a little more competitive with my body, seeing what I have against other people. I don't know that I necessarily want to be a bodybuilding competitor, but I definitely want to, I would like to focus on my health and fitness a little bit more than I have. I have to admit, I have to be honest. You know, one of the things that I tell my clients and anyone who will listen is you have to take care of yourself so you can take care of the people who you love. And I am guilty of not doing that all the time. There are times when I'm going hard and everything is great, but there are times when, you know, like I'm distracted and I'm busy and I'm overwhelmed. And the thing and the person who suffers the most is me, because I'm not going to not go to work. I'm not going to not train my clients. I'm not going to not do my classes. Well, the thing that'll suffer is my workouts or me watching my food or whatever the case is. And so I'm like anybody else. I'm on a roller coaster like anybody else. For the most part, I stay in shape. For the most part, I stay pretty strong. For the most part, I stay nice. And when I say that, you know, don't get me wrong. I have had times when I have not been in shape. This is before I even became a personal trainer. But for the majority of my life, I've been in pretty good shape. I've had a couple of years that, I wasn't in such good shape. At my biggest, I was 248. I looked like a little bear, like a little light-skinned bear. And I was big. I was big in the face. I was big everywhere. And and it was a time in my life that I was not real happy. I was not focused at all. I was really down because of the injuries that I had that would not allow me to play and do the things that I wanted to do. And then after a while, it just kind of got to me. And the next thing you know, days went into weeks, weeks went into months, months went into years. And the next thing you know, like I was big, man. I was big. I was out of shape. I was unhappy. I was miserable. And so one day I had decided that I was just going to be, this is what I was going to be. And that lasted all for of one night. And I woke up the next morning and I was like, nah, this isn't me. And I got to get back on it. And I did. And, you know, whatever. So I'm like anybody else, man. I go through ups and downs in life like everybody else. And that's one of the reasons why I want to do this podcast, is because, you know, the videos that I put out, the things that I post, I don't, my clients don't need to know what's going on with me. And I don't mean that in a bad way towards my clients. My clients come in here to get that work, to escape from their daily stuff. Like, I don't need to put my burdens on them, you know, like, so that's not my job. That's not the way that this works. The way that it works is that, like, I know that people come to me to come get in physical shape, to come get in mental shape. There's so many things that happen while you're in a session with me. It's not just physical, it's so much more. But like, that's why people come, not to get my problems and issues and situations. It's for them to come and get away from their daily life, and they get that 1 hour of escape. And I take it very, very seriously that I am trusted by people to be their escape. So the person who suffers is me. And I don't say that to get sympathy or empathy. It's not that. It's that, you know, so at 53, I want to make sure I'm doing my best to do my best for me, in addition to doing my best to do my best for my clients and my business. You know, it makes me busy, but it's life. Life isn't gonna change for me, and so I have to change the things that I want to do. So the things that I want to do are I need to get more competitive. Maybe a couple of weeks ago, maybe about a month or two ago, I really realized that things like when I'm not happy, a lot of times it's because I'm not being competitive in something. And I haven't been competitive in something in a long time. And that does not mean that I haven't been happy for a long time, but I just realized that, you know, like I like the fight. I don't mean the physical fight. I like the fight. I like the competition. I like to know, are you better than me? Are you stronger than me? Are you faster than me? Am I stronger or faster than you? Like who's better? When my son was small, he used to say, hey, Daddy, who do you like better? The Rock or Triple H? And then it would be like Eddie Guerrero or Chris Benoit. But who do you like better? And so for me, it's more of like what can you do? Like how good can you be? I have always, I don't want to say judged myself, but I guess I want to say judge myself for lack of a better word. I have always held myself to a standard based on what I think I can do and what I know I can do. Injuries have changed what I can do, and that's okay. But that's neither here nor there. I still can do stuff, and I need to be as good as I can be at doing that. So getting back to what some of my goals are is I want to be a little more competitive with my body. I don't care how old I am. And if you know anything about me, if you know me at all, if you've ever had a conversation with me about fitness, I don't give a damn how old you are. I had a client, an 85-year-old young man who his nickname is the Legend because he was just a real legend. This guy was awesome. 85 years old. This guy did what he could. So I don't care how old I am. I don't care what my situation is. I don't care how many injuries and things that I can't do anymore. There's so many things that I can do. So I'm going to do those. And so like I said, I'm not saying I'm going to be a bodybuilder or nothing like that, but I need to be a little more competitive with my body and see where I stand. You know, I need to see where I rank as far as I'm concerned. I don't care what anybody else thinks. I want to know where I rank as far as I'm concerned. And how hard can I go? What can I really get done? Like, how far can I push myself? One of the reasons why I was a great athlete when I was younger is that, like, I pushed myself. And sometimes I wasn't really nice. Sometimes I was a sweetheart. But, like, I had a competitive drive that was pretty intense. And sometimes it didn't come out correctly, you know? Sometimes my competitiveness, anger, being a big ass baby, call it what you want, because I was a big ass baby. I was a sore loser, man. Like I hated losing more than I loved winning. So if that tells you anything, like that's who I am, that's who I was, and I feel like that's where I really want to go right now. So, and I don't know where this is going to lead me. I don't have a specific thing that I want to do. I want to see what I can do in the next few months. And then at that point, I'm going to really assess what I think I can do. And then I will have a real concrete goal. Then I'll have a real concrete goal by the end of 2023. So these next couple of months are going to be pretty cool because I'm going to be doing some things that are a little bit different. I have set myself up in a position to do some other stuff. And so I'm really looking forward to it. So I know I've kind of covered a lot today. And I want to, if there's one thing that I know that I have not spoken about yet, it's this. I was in the doctor's office with my surgeon, okay? And what I'm about to tell you is the way that I feel about me being a personal trainer and how I want to affect you. That's basically what I'm getting at here. So I'm in the doctor's office looking at my x-rays of my hip that I had surgically replaced a few years ago. And he's looking at the x-rays and he looks at the x-rays, he looks at me. He looks at the x-rays, he looks at me. He looks at the x-rays, he looks at me. And he goes, "Hey man, we got to improve the quality of your life." He says, your hip is destroyed. He says, "I know you've done everything that you can. You've gotten cortisone shots, you've stretched, you've worked out, you've done all the things that a surgeon wants a patient to do before you actually get surgery." He said, "But at this point," he says, "like you're beyond everything else. You need to replace your hip." I was like, "All right, okay." And so for my own mental health, having a surgeon whose last resort was surgery made me know I was with the right guy. If you ever have a doctor and their first suggestion is to get surgery, you should probably get another opinion. That's just my opinion. He wanted me to do everything that I could before he said, "Okay, we got to cut you open." So when he said, "We got to change the quality of your life," it really hit me because I had been in pain for so long. I ended up getting what's called femoral acetabular impingement, FAI, in my left hip. I had bone spurs. And I had such a lack of mobility to where, like, even when I was working, like, my clients would have to pick up the weights for me sometimes because I couldn't pick them up to give them to them. It was a very sad situation. And then when I would take painkillers and stuff, then I would be able to have more mobility, but that's not how you want to be. It really hit me, when a surgeon says something's bad, when a doctor says something's bad, it's bad because the doctor sees so much crap that, like there's levels to, the intensity of the crappiness. And the way that he said it, the way he looked me in my eyes, the way that he got across to me, he was like, man, like, I know you're struggling. I know you're in pain and you've done everything you can. It was almost like he was saying, like, it's time to kind of let go of you trying to be a tough guy. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, he was basically telling me, like, it's time to let go and let me help you. And it was a really big, serious experience for me. And so what I realized is that before this happened in, I got my hip replaced in, I think it was October of 2020. And so we had this conversation maybe middle of 2020. And I realized that he basically summed up what I have been trying to do for you guys is I'm trying to improve the quality of your life. I don't post everything that happens in my gym. I don't tell you about the conversations I have with people. I don't tell you about all the things that I am really doing with people because it's personal for me and it's personal for my clients. And I don't like to use social media to gain followers and stuff like that at the expense of sharing people's experiences unless they don't mind. And even when they do mind, it's personal for me. Like I take it so seriously that I'm helping people literally improve their lives. It's a big responsibility and I take it serious, man. Someone calls me and tells me, hey, like my A1C is in such a great range now. My blood pressure my blood pressure is down. My cholesterol is at good levels. Like those are things that I know are affecting their lives and not just their lives, but their husband or their wife or their kids or their friend, like whatever the case is. I realize I know my role. And my role is to help you get better. So when my surgeon told me, hey man, like we got to improve the quality of your life. Once I kind of got over the impact that it was having on me for myself, and I was able to kind of take a step back, I realized that is kind of what my mission is as a personal trainer, is that I am trying to improve the quality of your life. So I am blessed that God has put me where I'm at. I could not be in a better position to do what I do. And I take it very seriously. I know that people count on me for their physical, for their mental, for their, emotional. Like there's just so many things that happen, like I said in the session, but I take it very seriously. And I don't know. I just know that if it were not for your guys' trust in me, I would not be in the position that I'm in. So I'm very grateful and thankful to the people who trust me, the people who look up to me, the people who look to me for advice and comfort and whatever it is that I give. I do not take it lightly. And it is what has made Joey Speaks into Joey Speaks Fitness and to be able to be sitting here in front of you doing this podcast. Okay. So I know I have not covered everything that I want to cover in this first podcast. I don't want it to be too long, but the podcast they may be an hour or more. They may be a half hour. It just depends on what the content is. It's going to depend on, how much I have to share that day. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to just make a podcast for an hour and then try to fill the time. I want to give you guys good quality content to be able to think to yourself, hey man, like, that was interesting. Like, I can't wait to hear what that guy says next. So if I can give you 20 great minutes and that's all I got for that day, I'm going to give you 20 great minutes and then hopefully you'll come back for the next one. The next one, you might get an hour and a half of 90 great minutes. And so it's just going to vary. It's going to vary. So I have a lot more to tell you about, when I was growing up. I'm going to go into some details about, playing Little League baseball, playing football, my high school days, going to Granada Hills High School, going to Poly High School, getting drafted by the Giants, playing football at PCC, the people I played with, the things that I went through to be able to play, just all the things that, just kind of made me who I am. So, I have a lot to cover. There's a lot of people I want to talk about. The scout who drafted me, Mr. George Genovese. I have a lot to talk about him. So there's going to be some I'm going to have a lot of time to be able to cover a lot of my life. And hopefully, over the course of these next few weeks and months, you're going to get to know who I am. And so I plan on doing this podcast for as long as you guys will have me. I have at least 6 months of guests lined up. I have at least probably another 2 or 3 months of content that I want to give you on my own, not counting the stuff I'm going to do just kind of on the fly, because let's just say if I have a great session with somebody and we're talking about chest and tries compared to doing chest and buys, I may do a podcast based on like, hey man, like these are the benefits you're going to get from that. These are the things that can hurt you when you do that. So I want to make sure that I'm bringing you content that is going to be good for you, entertaining for you. And who else I want to, be good for and entertain is me. I want to do something that I'm proud of. I want to do something that, that when my mom watches this, she's going to be like, that's my boy. That's Joe, like that. I want to do good. I want to do good. So, all right, guys, I feel like this has been a great first episode. I am so happy that I'm doing this. I'm so happy that we're going to get to know each other a little bit better. Once again, my name is Joey Speaks for Everyday People, the podcast. I will see you guys next time.